And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Global Citizens. My name is Kelvin. I am the show's host, and of course, I am also its creator. So, my guest for today is one of the sweetest person I know, and we met in TCK Global during the pandemic era. So, she is actually an English teacher, and she has recently launched a book for the younger generations of third culture kids. It is called La Gatita TCK, which is translated to the TCK Kitten. I hope I said it correctly.
Yeah.
If I apologize to the Spanish community. I don't mean to be insulting. I just don't speak Spanish. I really am trying here. Okay, so without further ado, I'll pass the spotlight back to Salo. How are you, Salo?
Oh, hi. Hello, Calvin, and thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure being here.
Welcome,
Mhm.
very welcome. Okay, just
Thank
to
you.
clarify, your name, how do I pronounce your name again? Salom Vasquez, right?
Salome. Salome, but they
Salome.
usually call me Salo.
Yeah,
Salo.
yeah, that's what I know you. That's what I know you as
Yeah.
usually, Salo.
Everyone knows
So
me
that's
by Salo.
why
Yeah.
my bad.
Mhm.
All right. Okay. So yeah, I hope I've already done enough justice in your introduction. Is there anything I'm missing?
No, I don't think so. I'm Salome. I'm 27, and I'm both English and Spanish teacher. I'm a native Spanish speaker, but I speak English as well.
All right. So, for those of you who are watching this for the very first time, Global Citizens is actually an interview that is done in order to advocate third culture kids and the global citizens community in general. The main purpose for this is advocacy so that people actually can see us, can hear us, is that because there are certain topics that could be sensitive or it might not always be something that a certain culture can approve of, and this is actually a safe space to actually express your opinion. I want people to understand that this is not a life of an extended holidays or vacation, is because we have to be chameleons in this life. We have to learn to adapt, we have to change our perspective and how we speak sometimes. And on occasions, I do have heard of people changing their appearance in order to fit in because we just want to fit in. And I just hope that people understand when we actually have a more candid point of view from it. So, Salo, the very first question, I apologize. It might not always be the most popular one, but it has to be asked. Where is home to you? How do you define it? And go.
Oh wow, that one's a hard one to
Yes.
answer.
I always trigger people's PTSD in this somehow.
Yeah. Well, I think that um, I was born in Panama, so Panama City, so that's like my home country, I would say. Um, but then I grew up there for a while, for several years, and my mom is from Colombia, so having a
Wow.
Colombian mother, it's sometimes
Yes.
really well
I
fun.
have an Asian mother, so I know how that feels.
You can have that, yes. And from the
Because mine
others,
is more of my dad.
your
Mine
dad
is
as
more
well.
of my dad. Yeah, my
Your
dad
dad.
is the one who display more of the trait. So
Oh, okay.
I can relate. I can relate to
I
that.
can
My
relate.
mom is the more chill one, surprisingly.
Oh wow. Yeah, I think my dad is the one that it's more complicated. I don't know why. So yeah, and so my from my mom's side I'm Colombian, and from my dad's side I'm Chilean. My dad's from Chile, which is quite different from the Colombian culture, even if they're in Latin America. So they always have like their differences between them. And well, I was born in Panama with both my parents from different countries, and then we went to the States for a while. And after that we came back to Panama, and then my parents decided they wanted to come here to Ecuador. So right now I'm here in Ecuador. I've been here for a long time. Um, so I could say I have um, four different countries that I call my home countries. I really don't know how to answer which one I feel. I really don't know how to answer. I think I would say I'm between like the four of them at the same time. Like
Well, the thing,
I'm Panamanian, but at the
yep,
same time I feel I'm Colombian because I go to to Colombia, sorry, to visit
right.
family, to stay there for a while, and then I go to Chile. I'm traveling to Chile tomorrow, so I'm gonna be in Chile for a while as
Yay.
well. So it's really like a lot of different cultures at the same time. But I would
Right,
consider myself Latina. I would say like I'm Latina,
right,
and yeah, I really feel like I'm from those the four countries at the same time. Hmm.
right, right. You have three countries which has a more Hispanic origin and
Hmm.
the United States. So which part of the US was it?
Alabama. But
Okay, okay, wow.
I was young, so yeah, I don't really
Oh, okay.
consider it like it's sort of part of my culture. Yeah, I remember because it I had some influence in that, and then here in Ecuador, I went to an American school, so I had to learn English properly. Well, not I don't speak it like fluently, totally fluently, but yeah, I think I have a good level. Hmm.
All right, that's good. That's good. Okay, since you mentioned Panama, I just want to give a little shout out to Robert Duran. I'm actually a big boxing fan, and Robert Duran is actually a boxing legend from Panama. So just a little bit of a throw in anyway, but let's move on, shall we? Okay, okay. So of course, every any typical TCK related issue, you don't know where is your home, no matter even if it's just the other country or I know that I think the record on my show is 16 countries. Somebody who has lived in 16 countries.
Wow.
So that's another. As if people want to say that's a blessing, that's actually a lot of headaches and confusion, and it could lead
Hmm.
to depression. So
Yeah.
while I know when it comes to home, it's not always easy for you, but what forms your anchor? Like, what is it that form Salome Vasquez actually? Is it still your friends or family, or have you created a certain kind of identity on your own from your four homes?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've done it for my basically I think my family, and because I talk to them like most
Right.
of the time, so I try to do that like WhatsApp, Facebook specifically, but I'm not really like close to them. Of course they're family, but it's I'm not that close to them. Like every time I see them, it's like it's good. I enjoy spending time with them, but it's not that we're not that close. And I think yeah, my friends, I have friends from those countries and from the different countries. So I usually when I chat with them, when I video call with them, it's we just like have that connection. So I think
I'm
it's
one of them.
uh,
I'm one of them.
yes, of course. Yeah. Hmm.
Am I not? Okay, never
No,
mind. No
yes,
worry.
you're.
Yay.
Yes, yes.
All right. Okay, yay. Happy to hear that. All right.
Hmm.
So, okay, okay. So, when did you discover the term TCK, Third Culture Kid? I know you're acquainted with Dr. Ruth Van Rieken. She was there when you were doing the Zoom interview from your book, right?
Hmm.
So, how did you discover the term actually?
Well, I since I was little, I always had the problem like I was I always wonder where am I from? Always with my brother as well has like the same issues as me. And I remember that my parents, because I'm a missionary kid, so my parents had this like they were going to this conference that were a lot of people from different countries over the world were coming. So they took us with them. I don't know why, honestly, but we just went with them. And I remember that there was like this small workshop where that was named TCKs, and
Right.
and it says like it's for kids that have grown or have parents from different countries, and I was like, what's this? I like this really calls my attention. So that was the moment that I realized about the term, I could say. And they explained it there, and it was this woman from Brazil, and there were other, young people that were having like similar problems. Well, not problems, similar experiences. So, yep, that's how I realized about it. How I learned about it.
Okay, I'm actually glad that that's how the story came about because you are actually one of the first TCK that I actually remember
Hmm?
that does not have any alcohol involved in how they discover the term third culture kids.
Really?
Regarding the yeah, surprisingly,
Oh,
so
wow.
I better not reveal how the rest of it, and one of them is actually my own story. So that's for another day. Uh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. And what do you feel though when you discover the term? Like for example, I've interviewed the now Tanu before. One of the things that she experienced was the tears of joy. She actually cried when she actually found out that term, and in fact, at that time for her is to the point that her neighbor actually knock on their door. Is like, "Are you okay? Why are you crying?" Then she's like, "No, I'm fine. I'm just happy. It's just these tears of joy to find out who I am." But of course, for the now, it's that for her experience is that it's still at that time one of the earliest edition of what we like to call the Bible, and
Hmm.
yeah, and at that time for her is that the story, while it's same, it's still different from her because she's actually an Asian third culture kids. So for your case, what do you experience when you actually found out about that term?
I think it was, I still remember the feeling. I think I was surprised, to be honest. Like, I couldn't believe there were other people that were like me. I mean, I knew because of other missionary kids as well, because I grew up in a community where there was a lot of kids and people from different countries because of the community. Um, so I grew up with kids from Kenya or here in Latin America, Brazil, the United States, Canada, etc. So I always like was in that environment, I could say.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like just surprised that there was a term and it really existed. Like it
Yay.
was the thing that actually called my attention the most.
All
Hmm.
Okay, okay. That's good.
Hmm.
That's good to hear. Okay. So after discovering it, what do you actually do though to explore it? Do you decided to explore it even further, or at that time you are like you are just still too immersed in it because you are I know you are quite active in the community and you actually pick an occupation that is considered one of the popular one for third culture kids, which is a language teacher. So what it do you decide to explore that, or at that time what did you to do with it?
Well, it was long ago. I think I was about 16 years old, but I think I actually did it. Like I started to search more about it. I was really keen on finding out what it was, like what different terms, reading more about it on the books, like the TCK Bible that we call it that way, and yeah, like trying to connect more to that. Like it was a way to relate and identify myself with, and yeah, I think I started searching more definitely. Hmm.
Okay. Okay, so regarding the exploration of it, so this is why I invited you to the show. So you launch a children's book for third culture kids, and it's of course the title is the TCK Kitten, or I don't want to butcher the Spanish again. I'm really sorry, but La Gatita TCK. I hope I didn't butcher that. I'm sorry to the
I
Hispanic
was good
community in
actually.
case I
You
did.
pronounced it
Oh,
really well.
that's good.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Okay, okay. So, what is the book about, though? What was the idea behind it?
Well, I always wanted to write a book, but I really didn't know what about. Like, so one day I was like thinking about what can I write about? Something I know. I have some, like, not a lot of knowledge, but I have some knowledge, and it's based on my own experience. And that's when I came up with the idea. Okay, why not about TCK story? And so that's why I said, okay, I had some trouble like growing up, because I was like, when I was little, I was really sad, like growing up away from my family, my grandparents. And I always said, if I have had a material, a resource that could have helped me, it would have been better for me. So I said, why not to create this for kids like in the new generations, these generations and the one that are coming. So that was like the reason why I wrote this story, this children's book. So this is a story about, like, in short, it's this tells the life of Kiki. That's the name of the cat in this story, and it's a kitten that has grown up in different cultures, and now must make a new trip because of her parents' work. And it doesn't specify which one, so the kids can relate, to the different jobs that their parents may have. And she has a lot of, emotions, like positive emotions, of course, but she also has negative ones. She has a lot of fears, and she makes like a new friend, which is in the airport. That it's a really famous place for TCKs. And and this friend in the airport, which is a puppy, reminds her that she's not alone, and he's also a TCK. So yeah, that's like they start talking and sharing their stories, and what they feel, what they can do to learn from this experience, etc. So that's like what the story is about in short. Hmm.
This is something that I know from you personally because we are friends. Why isn't the cat called Gatu from your own cat? Why is it called Kiki instead?
Um, that's a good question, but I think it was because as my cat passed away, I think that I really didn't like want to remember at that time what it was. So like he was gone already. And also because somehow it was like already, I don't know why, but in my mind I had that the idea that I subconsciously I had the idea that I wanted the kitten to be a girl, like to be female. So somehow I just started like searching for names on the internet, because I really didn't have like I was looking for names, and I was like, okay, I need to find the name of a cat that it's not so difficult for kids to say, or and it's easy to remember. So I don't know why, but I found this one somewhere that said Kiki, and I was like, oh, that's a good name, Kiki. So it says like it's Kiki, so it's easy to pronounce for kids because it's for from 4 to 9 years old. So yeah, that's why I decided to go for that one. Hmm.
Okay, okay, very fair enough. Very fair enough.
Hmm.
Okay, do you have the idea for cats? Is because cats has a habit of being of like straying around, like on then all of a sudden it will return. Is that why the main character is a cat? Uh, at first, I thought you want to use a cat is because as a tribute to your late cat, because I know how fond you are of it, of him. Sorry.
Oh,
And is that why you decided to make the character a cat? Is because cats by nature like to move around, and then all of a sudden it can return home.
yeah, I actually didn't think it that way. That's like you just told me that, and I just thought about that. No, actually, the reason it's, well, first of all, I'm a cat lover. I'm in love with them. I'm crazy. You
Yep,
just
I
can
know.
see my
I
friends.
know. Yeah, I can see
I'm,
from the back. Yeah, that
yeah,
thing is
I'm
one of the
crazy.
few thing I know doesn't change from your wall since the first time I know you.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the first reason, and the second reason is because I work my as a English and as an English and Spanish teacher, and I actually my name, it's the La Teacher Salo y su gato, so Teacher Salo and her cat. So that's why, like, it's sort of a way to identify myself, like to what I do. And yeah, like I always work with my cat, so that's the reason why. Like I couldn't think of any other character for the story. Hmm.
Okay, okay.
Hmm.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Hmm.
Okay. Why did you choose a profession as an English and Spanish teacher? I already mentioned in the beginning that it's one of the popular job for third culture kids. I think it's one of the thing that people in this community like to do is because it allows us to live overseas, to live and earn. So I think that's why it's quite a popular occupation in a sense within this community. So why, for your case though, you actually decided to do it?
I think it was because I think the reason was my teachers in while I was in school. They really inspired me, and like I had to learn English the hard way because it was really hard for me at the beginning. I really actually didn't like English at the beginning. So when I was in school, I
Shame,
know. So
shame, shame. That's my favorite lesson. That's my favorite. That's my favorite.
no, mine was history, definitely. So
Oh no, I
when
love
I
history too. I love
was
history too.
yeah, history is great as well. So I think that I really had teachers that inspired me. They were the best, and the funny thing is that they were the English teachers. So so yeah, somehow I said like, hey, this is something I like. I also wanted to be a history teacher, but I don't know, at the end, like when I finished school, I started like I didn't know what to study, but I had this idea in mind. Okay, I think I speak good English. I still need to learn, but I think I have a good level of English. And at the same time, I like teaching because of some opportunities I had um teaching English to some kids, etc. And so I said, okay, and I was working at the same time with as an assistant teacher. So I don't know. I just realized, okay, I like this, so I'm gonna start teaching. I wasn't like really what's the word? I forgot the word. I wasn't like the really into this, like teaching in general, until I was in my internship year, where I had to start really learning how to teach. Not only theory but practice. And yeah, that's when I realized I saw the reality of kids in general, not only learning English but in general. And I said, okay, this is for me. And then after like graduating, started teaching, realized it was what I loved. And then I said, okay, well, I like my language as well. I like Spanish. I speak Spanish. Why not start teaching Spanish? So I studied as well for that. And yep, I think that's why. Mhm.
Okay, okay. One of my previous guests, John Titan, actually is a music teacher here in Singapore. He is a British-born Singaporean third culture kid. So he actually utilized music in order to relate to his students who are international kids themselves. Do you actually have that kind of experience too, whereby you utilize language or you have to deal with the younger generations of third culture kids in your job?
Yeah, I have some fur culture kits. So it's really funny because they experience the same similar things I experienced when I was a kid.
Oh, you
And
have depression? Me too. Come, let's
yeah,
talk about it.
no,
Okay, yes.
I'm not gonna tell
No,
them
no.
that. Yes, they actually like they're not conscious, they're not aware, but I think yes that they tell me like, oh, I miss this from this country, and like, oh yeah, so I don't tell them like, oh yeah, you might be a fur culture kid. So I think some like three of my kids are fur culture kids. Mhm. Yes.
Okay, okay. I see, I see. So, how do you feel though your book will be assisting the younger generations of third culture kids? Because, as you mentioned, we don't have the resources back then. So, just to let you guys know, a lot of times when I know that my guest is actually a parent, I actually ask, how old is your kids? The reason being is that a lot of them are expatriates, their kids are third culture kids. So I have to make sure that if they watch this, they can't really learn the what you like to call the vulgarities or the unpleasant language, if you want to call it, is because yeah, I want this to be for them to be able to have the resources that they can
Mm.
tune in so that they can hear the perspective of those who grow up in this kind of lifestyle. So yeah, Salo, how do you feel your book though will be a huge assistance to third culture kids?
Well, I think it. I want it. I hope it can be a help in a therapeutic way. I had to ask for help to a psychologist so she could give me like some tips on that. And yeah, I the idea it's for this new generations that the kids can share their feelings and emotions through the book, because it has like some questions at the end of the book, so it can help parents to create a dialogue with the kids, and in this way they can feel like it's not bad to be a third culture kid, but at the same time they have to appreciate other things, so both
Yeah.
good and bad, like the advantages and disadvantages, so they can see like both sides. So the book seeks that, to help kids see both sides of the story, but at the same time be able to share and not accumulate all the feelings in their heart. And yeah, they can dialogue with the parents. um so yeah, I think like they can be open with what they feel, and I think that's a way of helping, so parents can be listeners with the kids and they can like reassure, sorry, what they may feel like. Oh yes, Kiki went through this, it's normal you feel this way, so they can relate to the characters and somehow they can feel open about this. And so that's mainly what I want to accomplish, I could say. If there's a lot. I've noticed that there's a lot of. I was like, okay, I'm wondering if this is the first book that it's a children's book about, like for TCK. And I was like, okay, I searched and I actually found there were other books. I was like, okay, I'm not sure if this is actually gonna help because there are a lot of materials already. And but then I found out there is nothing in Spanish, like at least for kids. And that's why I said, okay, I should create something in Spanish as well, because there are a lot of resources in English which are really good already. And I said, okay, this is more like a focus on the Spanish, like not version, but we could say on this, like to help also kids that speak Spanish. Um, so yeah, I think it's that's a reason. I don't know if it's going to have like a huge um, it's going to be a huge thing, but I really hope it helps some kids. At least if I ever have kids, I'm gonna read the book to them, and I don't if they're gonna be TCKs. I don't know if they're TCKs. So I really hope they
You
can.
know, so to increase the cool factor, mom.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
Okay. I actually have two questions that I want to piggyback off that. So the first one is this. How important do you feel is representation though? Because uh, I think during the pandemic there was a documentary of third culture kids, but it only focused exclusively on the MKs, the missionary kids like yourself. And I think
Mhm.
at that time the focus is also on the military kids, which of course is the most traditional form of third culture kids. Due
Mhm.
to the expansion to the cross cultural kid dynamic, the dimension is that there's a lot more complication, a lot more spectrum to this community. We know how that I recently watched a movie called Encanto, where that's
Mhm.
actually then there's actually one very very heartwarming scene when I actually saw on Instagram, uh, and it's about a young lady who looked like the main character Mirabel, and she said, "Hey, look, that's me." So that's actually really heartwarming to see. That is because we need to feel represented in the media to acknowledge who we are. So how do you feel though that your book, which tells the perspective of the Hispanic third culture kids, in order be representative of that?
Well, I think there's, I don't know, but I feel there's this idea that there are not a lot of TCKs in Latin America. So that's why I also focus the story like not only in Latin America, but also like some countries. Most of the countries are in here are from here, from Latin America. So I wanted also like to, as well as it's important to remember that TCKs can be from any country from the world. It's also important to remember that maybe countries in Latin America are also part of what we could call TCKs. So I think that's why I wanted to really like um, make a focus on this. Um, I think it really like the book. It really represents at least like four countries. I would say 4 countries or 5 countries from Latin America, which is like quite different one from um, one another. But they show like different aspects, and in that way, it really shows how the Latin American culture is. So yeah, I really don't know like how to answer the question. To be honest, I'm not sure if I'm answering it correctly.
You're
Hmm.
answering it well, Salo. Don't worry. Okay, okay. So Colombia, Chile, and Panama, right? That's the three countries that amongst those that form your roots, and all three are of course Hispanic countries, right?
Yes, and
So do
then
you have
Ecuador as well, I could
Ecuador?
say.
Okay, okay.
Hmm.
Sorry about that.
No,
Okay.
no worry. Hmm.
So out of this four though, do you mind sharing with us if there's any stories that actually shows, even though they are all considered Hispanic countries, that actually that they are all not completely the same, like you realize, oh no, this actually is really different from how it was when I was in the previous one, and then when you actually come to the new one, do you have any experience on that?
Yeah, I think that has happened to me in Panama. Like when I went back to Panama after a few years, I could see like there were a lot of people from all over the world. I remember when I was there that there was a lot of people from China because of the Panama of the um because I forgot the word in English. Panama Canal. I don't know what happened to me. Panama Canal. So yeah, I
You
remember that they
realize
were
it's
like
7 a.m. for me here. You don't have the excuse, Salo, from the time differences. Okay, sorry.
so
Sorry, Salo. Go
so
ahead.
no, no worry. So yeah, I think it was like I remember that, but when I went back, I could see like even more people from from different countries. I was like, oh wow, why is this? um, Also, I think in Chile as well, and and in Colombia, there's always like new places I go and things I discovered that actually like I didn't know about, and I feel like sort of ignorant for not knowing that. And yeah, I think that I always learn something new every time I go to I travel to one of the countries. Hmm.
Okay, okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. This is a little bit on a less pleasant side, but I think that when I ask a question, it has to cover both the positive and the negative aspect. You mentioned you feel sad when you move to a new country because you don't get to see some of your own extended relative, right? Do you ever feel like the process of transitioning to a new country is like, in a sense, you are overcoming a grief, like in a sense, like even though it's not as bad as when somebody passed away, in a sense, you are mourning the loss of that home, that life that you have previously known of. Do you ever feel that you experience that?
Yeah, I've totally experienced that with I still remember the first time I said goodbye to one of my friends who was my neighbor, and I still remember. It was really really difficult to say goodbye to him. I remember hugging him, and
Boyfriend?
yeah, no, my
Boyfriend or
friend.
just
No, he was my friend. No, I was the first time I left Panama. I may have been like 9 or 10 years old, because then I went back. And yeah, I remember it was so sad, like saying goodbye, also with my other friends as well. And I remember I cried, and I cried all the way um to here to Ecuador. And yeah, also with my family, every time I have to say goodbye to my family when I spend like Christmas, New Year's, or other festivity, or just spending some months there after I have to come back. It's when I come back home. Of course, I love it here, but every time like I get back home, I somehow feel like strange. Like I need some days to feel like home again, sort of. So it takes me like maybe 4 or 5 days. And the first days I feel like depressed, like I really don't know what to do, like where I should go, etc. But then it's, I don't know. I just get used to that after like a week or so.
do you feel though you become a stronger person as you overcome this feeling as you move on? Do you feel that you become a more mature individual once you pass on this stage?
Yeah, I think so. I think um I've noticed that some friends, like, it's really hard for them like to be away from their families. And it's not bad, of course. It's good that they're close to their families, but sometimes like they might feel they need to have their grandparents or their family really close. But for me, it's not like that. Of course, I love my family, but I mean, if I'm not around them, I know they're still with me. So I just know I'm gonna see them later, and I also feel like I always need to travel to meet other cultures, to get to know other cultures. So somehow that really like makes me keep moving. Wants to keep moving with
Uh,
my. Mhm. Want
yeah,
to keep
it's
moving.
never a goodbye. It's just a see you later.
Yeah, so I don't think it's like it's hard every time. I'm not gonna say it's difficult every time I say goodbye, but yeah, I like it's not the worst, like the end of the world. Hmm.
Okay, sure. Okay, okay. When you were younger, though, what kind of resources do you have hope for to exist to help you explain for you being a third culture kid? Right now, we have your book. We have much more resources for the next generation to explain it. But what do you hope though to actually have to explain your identity at that time? I mean, it can be a cartoon, it can be a movie or anything, but do you hope that actually at that time there was something there to assist you?
I think it was. I don't know if it was our generation actually. It was the I
Yeah.
can't remember the name if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Wow, we're old. We are old.
Thornberries. I think it was the
Oh, the
thornberry.
wild thornberries. Yeah, the wild
Yes,
thornberries. Yeah, I
exactly.
remember that.
Mhm. The wild
Okay.
thornberries. Yes, I remember now. Yeah, I actually could relate a lot to them, and I was like, oh, she travels all around the world. So yeah, so I could. It was something that I really loved, and I still love. Like I can watch that every time. Uh-huh. Besides that, I think that, well, there wasn't like there were no resources. I think. I think that my parents always reminded me that it was okay to feel like that. That there were lots of good things coming. and somehow I always trusted them and that it was going to be fine.
Right.
Um, and I think that everywhere I went, I always had someone that could could get me. Like everywhere I've been, I've found other TCKs, so I haven't felt that alone. When I was in Panama, I had these. Well, she was the landlord of the place where my mom lived when she was single,
Mm-hmm.
and she was from China, Chinese American, and
Okay.
she was like my adopted, like my grandma. She was
Yeah.
adopted in my family,
Have
and
you
I
ever called her
always
Popo? Have you ever called her Popo or Abuela?
abuela. Yes, I
Okay,
called
okay,
her abuela.
okay.
So yeah, like everywhere I went, I had someone that could like support me, and I think that was
That's
a way
lucky.
for me to feel better. Hmm.
That's lucky. That's very lucky.
Hmm.
Okay, okay. Huh. Just to add on, in case wild thornberries might not be to your cup of tea, you can also watch Avatar: Legend of Aang. That's one of the two. I think if do you want to do the gender representation for a third culture kids, I think that's the best one to do it.
The
Okay,
one
okay.
Avatar. What's the name again? Avatar.
Avatar: The Legend of Aang. It's about,
Yeah, I remember
yeah.
now.
That's actually quite another popular resource for a third culture kids.
Hmm.
But I definitely remember the wild thornberry, and it's definitely
Hmm.
a good one too. Though at that
Hmm.
time it wasn't really relatable to me since I was quite ingrained in my own host country, Singapore, at that time. So, but yeah, that's definitely two resources if people want to see or what you want to see more representation of this life. All right.
Hmm.
Salo, the last one is actually not a question. It's I actually want to end the show with gratitude. I always want to end it with gratitude. Like, what do you feel has been the ultimate blessing as a third culture kid? And do you have any advice for the younger generations of third culture kids? Maybe they are on their first flight to their new country, or they are in the middle of transitioning to a third country and they are still feeling the sadness and all of the grief from moving to the new country. Do you have any advice on that?
Yeah, I think that something that they can remember is that they will have a new perspective in life. It will not only
Right.
be like um, from where you live in that moment, but you're gonna learn about a new culture, new ways of thinking, and that's always good. And maybe, and in most cases, you can even learn in a new language, and that can also be a great blessing in your life. You're also gonna make new friends. Of course, it's gonna be difficult to to leave the others aside. That's one of the most difficult things, and your family. But you're also gonna learn to love a new culture, new things in the new country. Hmm. And yep, like I think that that's it. Hmm.
Well said.
Hmm.
Well said. All right. So this episode is gonna be released around the 12th of February. So in advance, I'll just want to say Happy Valentine's Day. I'm single anyway, so it doesn't really bother me that much. And yeah, even though it's gonna be past by then, it's gonna be Chinese Lunar New. Sorry, even though it's gonna be past by then, it's gonna be the Lunar New Year celebration. So 新年快乐，万事如意。So other than that, I just want to thank Salo for making the time to come here today to share about her experience, her book. And Salo, anything else you want to add on?
No, I think I just want to thank you as well for having me here, for sharing, and giving me this opportunity. It's been great.
You're very welcome. You're very, very
Mhm.
welcome. All right, then. If that's the case, that's the end of Global Citizens, episode 114, the TCK Kitten conversation with Salome Vasquez. For those of you who are interested to support this channel, you can check out at my buymeacoffee.com. And other than that, do stay safe, everyone. And I hope 2022 will be a better year for you. So take care and bye.